Look at a map of the world. Find a small rainy island in the cold northern sea. It is not very big. Yet, about 100 years ago, this small island ruled almost a quarter of the whole world. How did this happen? How did England grow from a small wild land into the largest empire in history? This is the true story of England's rise to power. It took more than 1,000 years. Our story begins with soldiers from a faraway city. It begins with the mighty Romans. Long ago, the Romans came to the island we now call Britain. The Romans were strong and clever. They built roads across the land. They built towns with stone walls. They built baths and busy markets. For almost 400 years, Roman soldiers kept the island safe and calm, but then Rome grew weak. Far away, its own empire was falling apart. Around the year 410, the Romans left Britain for good. The soldiers marched away. They never came back. Now the island had no army. It was open and unprotected. Soon, new people came across the sea in wooden boats. They came from the cold lands of the north. We call them the Anglo-Saxons. The Anglo-Saxons were farmers and fighters. They took land and built villages. They spoke an early form of English. Slowly, the old Roman world faded away. A new people now lived on the island. The Anglo-Saxons did not have one king. Instead, the land was split into many small kingdoms. These kingdoms often fought each other. There was no single country called England yet. There were only rival kings and borders. Then, danger arrived from the sea again. In the late 700s, fierce raiders sailed to the island. They came in long, fast ships. They were the Vikings from Denmark and Norway far to the north. The Vikings were terrifying. They attacked towns and churches. They took gold and silver. They burned villages to the ground. Year after year, more Vikings came. Soon they did not just raid. They stayed. The Vikings took over much of the island. One by one, the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms fell. It seemed like nothing could stop them. Only one kingdom in the south still held on. Its name was Wessex. The king of Wessex was a young man named Alfred. Alfred was clever, brave, and thoughtful, but the Vikings were winning. They pushed him back again and again. At one point, Alfred had to hide in the marshes. Alfred did not give up. He gathered his men in secret. He built a new army. In the year 878, he met the Vikings in a great battle. This was the Battle of Edington, and Alfred won. This victory changed everything. Alfred made a deal with the Vikings. They would keep the east, he would keep the west and south. Alfred protected his people. Later, history called him Alfred the Great. Alfred did more than fight. He built strong towns to defend the land. He made new laws. He asked people to read and learn. He planted the seed of a nation. Alfred did not live to see one England, but his family carried on his dream. His son fought the Vikings, and then his grandson finished the work. That grandson was a king named Athelstan. In the year 927, Athelstan united the kingdoms. He brought them under one crown. For the first time, there was one country. For the first time, there was a king of England. The nation was born. But a new country is a fragile thing. England was still young and weak. Across the narrow sea in France, a powerful duke was watching. His name was William, the Duke of Normandy. He wanted the English crown. In the year 1066, the old English king died. Many men claimed the throne. William believed the crown was his, so he built a fleet of ships. He filled them with soldiers and horses. Then he sailed to England. The English king was named Harold. His army was tired from another battle in the north. Now he had to march south fast. On the 14th of October, 1066, the two armies met near a town called Hastings. The Battle of Hastings lasted all day. It was long and hard. For hours, neither side could win. Then, late in the day, King Harold was killed. The English army broke and ran. William had won. On Christmas Day, in the year 1066, William was crowned King of England. People now call him William the Conqueror. This one battle changed England forever. It was one of the most important days in all its history. William was a hard ruler. He gave English land to his French friends. He built tall stone castles across the country. From these castles, his soldiers watched the people. The English learned to obey their new masters. William also wanted to know his new kingdom. So he ordered a great survey. His men counted the land, the animals, and the people. They wrote it all in a huge book. People called it the Domesday Book. Over the next years, England and France mixed together. The rulers spoke French. The common people spoke English. Slowly, the two languages blended. This mix helped create the rich English language that we speak today. For many years, the kings of England were very powerful. They could do almost anything they wanted. They made the laws and raised the taxes. Nobody could tell the king no. But that was about to change. In the early 1200s, England had a king named John. King John was not a good ruler. He lost wars in France. He raised taxes higher and higher. He treated his lords cruelly. The people came to hate him. At last, the powerful lords, called barons, had had enough. They rose up against King John. They gathered their soldiers. They forced the king to meet them. In the year 1215, they met in a field called Runnymede. There, the barons made the king agree to a set of rules. This document was called Magna Carta. In English, it means the Great Charter. It had many clauses written by hand on old parchment paper. Magna Carta said something new and powerful. It said the king was not above the law. Even the king had to follow the rules. It said that free men had a right to fair justice. This idea would grow for centuries. King John hated the deal. He tried to break it at once. But the idea was already alive. The seed was planted. Over time, England would slowly build a system where the ruler shared power with the people. The centuries passed. England grew stronger and richer, but it stayed a small country on the edge of Europe. Then, in the 1500s, a bold and stubborn king took the throne. His name was Henry VIII. Henry VIII wanted a son, but his wife Catherine gave him only a daughter, so Henry wanted a new wife. He asked the Pope in Rome to end his marriage, but the Pope said no to the king. Henry was furious. He would not accept a no. So he made a huge decision. He broke away from the church in Rome. In the year 1534, he made himself the head of a brand new church. This was the Church of England. It was one of the biggest changes in the nation's history. England was no longer a Catholic country ruled from Rome. Now the king ruled both the church and the state. Henry VIII had many wives and much drama, but he also had children. And one of his children would become the most famous ruler in English history. She was his daughter. Her name was Elizabeth. Elizabeth became queen in the year 1558. Many people doubted her. She was a young woman, alone on the throne. But Elizabeth was brilliant and strong. Her long reign became a golden age for England. During Elizabeth's reign, England grew in confidence. Poets wrote great plays, sailors explored the wide oceans. The small island was starting to look outward to the whole world. But a great danger was coming. Across the sea, the King of Spain was the most powerful man in Europe. His name was Philip. Spain was rich and mighty, and King Philip wanted to conquer England. In the year 1588, King Philip sent a huge fleet against England. It was called the Spanish Armada. It had about 130 ships. It carried thousands of soldiers. Their plan was to invade the island. England was afraid. Its navy was much smaller than Spain's. But the English ships were faster. They fired their guns from a distance. Slowly, they broke the great Spanish fleet apart. Then the weather turned against Spain. Wild storms crashed into the Armada. The huge ships were smashed and scattered. Many sank in the cold sea. Only half of the great fleet ever made it home. It was an amazing victory. Tiny England had beaten mighty Spain. From that day on, England believed in its own power on the sea. The age of English ships had truly begun. English sailors now went everywhere. They crossed the Atlantic Ocean. They started small colonies in faraway America. They set up trading posts in India. Step by step, England was building the first pieces of a great empire. But at home, the island was still not fully united. England and Scotland were still two separate countries. For a long time, they had been rivals. They shared one island, but they did not share one government. Then, in the year 1707, the two countries joined together. This was called the Act of Union. England and Scotland became one nation. Its new name was Great Britain. Now the whole island stood as one. United and strong, Britain looked out at the world. Its ships ruled the oceans. Its trade grew richer every year. Its colonies spread across the globe. A small island was becoming a giant power. Then something new and powerful appeared in Britain. It was not a king or an army. It was a wave of machines. This great change is called the Industrial Revolution, and it all started right here. In the 1700s and 1800s, British people built amazing machines. They built engines that ran on steam. They built factories full of moving parts. They dug deep mines for coal. The whole country began to change. Machines could now do the work of many hands. Factories made cloth, iron, and goods faster than ever before. Steam trains raced across the land. Steam ships crossed the seas. Britain became the workshop of the world. This new power made Britain very rich. And it made the country hungry for more. It needed raw materials for its factories. So the empire grew bigger and bigger and bigger. Britain took control of lands all over the world. It ruled huge parts of Africa. It ruled a vast land of India. It ruled Australia, Canada, and many islands. The map of the world slowly turned British red. People began to say a famous line. They said, "The sun never sets on the British Empire." This meant the empire was so wide that it was always daytime somewhere inside it. It stretched around the whole planet. At its greatest, the British Empire was the largest empire in history. It ruled around a quarter of all the land on earth. It ruled around a quarter of all the people. No empire before it had ever grown so large. For a long time, one small queen ruled it all. Her name was Victoria. She was queen for over 60 years. Under Victoria, the empire reached its peak. British power, trade, and industry ruled the world. But we should not tell only one side of this story. The empire brought great wealth to Britain, yet it was often hard and cruel for the people who were ruled. Many of them lost their freedom and their land. The story of the empire is a mix of pride and pain. It brought railways, schools, and the English language to distant lands. But it also brought war, control, and suffering. History is rarely simple. It is human. In time, the great empire did not last. The world changed. People everywhere wanted their freedom. One by one, the colonies became their own countries. The huge empire slowly came to an end. The map changed once more. So let us return to our first question. How did a small, rainy island rise so high? How did it grow from a wild land into a world power? The answer is found in this long and winding story. It began with the Romans and their roads. It grew with Alfred, who saved his people. It became one country under Athelstan. It was changed forever by William in 1066. Each single step built the next one. It was shaped by Magna Carta and the rule of law. It was transformed by Henry and a brand new church. It was defended by Elizabeth and her ships. Every single age added something new to the growing nation. It was made powerful by the Act of Union. It was made rich by machines and by trade, and it was made huge by ships that sailed to every ocean. 1,000 years of history slowly built that empire. England's rise was not one single event. It was not luck alone. It was a long chain of battles, choices, and ideas. It was built slowly over many centuries by millions of people. Today, Britain is no longer a giant empire. It is a normal country once more, but its story still shapes our world. Its language is spoken everywhere. Its laws and ideas live on in many nations today. From a cold, forgotten island, England grew into a power that touched the whole planet. It rose, it ruled, and in time, it fell. And that long, dramatic journey is one of the greatest stories in all of history. Now, here's a question for you. Which part of this story surprised you the most? Was it Alfred in the marshes? Was it the Battle of Hastings? Or the storm that sank the Armada? Tell me in the comments below. Thank you so much for listening to this story all the way to the end. I really hope it helped your English today. You practiced your listening. You learned new words and some real history too. If this story helped you, please give the video a like and please subscribe to the channel. A new English story is coming in just a few days. I would really love for you to be here for it. And do not stop practicing now. Keep your English going right now. Tap the video you can see on the screen to watch the next story. Or open the playlist and keep listening with me here. Every story you finish makes your English a little stronger. So keep listening, keep learning, and keep going. You are doing really well. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next story. Goodbye for now.